You can get some. Go have some.
All right, it's on you, then I'll take 2.
Love it. All the sights and sounds from Inside Training Camp. Live coverage continues today at 10 a.m. right here on NFL Network. Those Minnesota wide receivers I didn't have on my list will join our crew. So will Mike Zimmer, John Dorsey. We'll hear from a whole lot of your favorite stars starting at 10 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network. This is Good Morning Football. You're kicking off your day with us as we sit live in New York City on, is this the last day of July? Yeah, July 31st.
That's it. It's been real.
See you, July.
Let's go. Football season.
Kay, Nate Burleson.
Leo season.
Peter Schrager is back. Kyle Brandt is here. And we're all together to sing and harmonize with the Leave
Block. Your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care. Hey, yo.
Let's start with the monsters of the Midway, going to the Chicago Bears. Last year, they were #1 in points allowed and takeaways. Bears defensive back Eddie Jackson joined Andrew Siciliano and M. Rob yesterday on ITC Live and said that he thinks the defense still has room to improve. Okay.
Coach Nagy has a saying, you're getting better, you're getting worse. And right now, we have a lot to accomplish. And you see our slogan, Chasing Greatness. Like I tell people, we're not just talking about it, we're actually doing it. And you can see from OTAs, everyone was here 100%, attendance, and everyone's on board, everyone's in their playbook, even the young guys. You see the young guys come out here, they've been quiet, keeping their head down and working. So we're definitely getting better.
Eddie Jackson, I love that. I'm listening to every word, hanging on every word. He says that they are chasing greatness, Kyle. Do you feel like we're witnessing another historic Bears defense in the making? Because when we look back on this era, the question is, could this team be compared to those all-time greats?
It's tricky. They're loaded. They have everything you could possibly want. They have superstars. They have new players. Trubisky's been talking about in camp about it's tough. We go against this defense every day, and we play the best defense leagues, making us better. It's interesting. They have a personality, this Bears defense, where they're really scary, but they're also kind of laughing while they terrorize you. It's like they're like the Joker, which is interesting because one of their most pivotal players is literally named Ha Ha, and another one is Bust Your Screen, which sounds like a bathroom wall. So, guys, they have new players in those DBs who are going to really have to matter. But, Kate, to answer your question, compared to the all-time greats, the greatest defenses in my lifetime are the 85 Bears, the 2000 Ravens, the 2002 Bucks, and the 2013 Seahawks. All Super Bowl champs. So when we do NFL 50 years from now, they're not going to be talking about this Bears team unless they win the Super Bowl. Just like they're not going to be talking about last year's Bears team just because they were statistically good. It's going to come down to whether they win it or not because the team is turnkey.
Because you didn't mention the 2006 Bears, right? No. They didn't make it. That was a great defense that wanted to be put in that conversation but isn't because they fell short.
Yeah, Dan Pompei, the great writer from Chicago.
He's been on fire.
He did an article in The Athletic about Chuck Pagano and how Pagano took his year off and came back. I thought it was a great read. If you can go find it, it's on The Athletic. But Pagano is the key in all this because Vic Fangio was the architect of this thing. Vic Fangio lasted multiple different regimes from other coaches. Now you're bringing a new defensive coordinator. And if you don't think that's just plug and play, it's a totally different thing. Every defensive meeting has a different tone, has a different feel, has a different scheme, has a different attack. Pagano is one of the best defensive minds in football, and yet he's not Vic Fangio. So to me, a lot of the great defenses, once you lose that architect, things change. I mean, that 2000 Ravens team was great, and then everyone from Rex Ryan to Marvin Lewis was elsewhere in the next couple of years.
Okay, the 85 Bears and Buddy Ryan leaves. It's not the same.
You can't just think it's going to be the same thing. They're going to get better. It's a different defense. And Chuck Pagano, to me, is the most important piece. Right. I think he's up for the task, but that is a tall task, how good they were last year.
Fangio, the architect, and Pagano is the key master, as you would say. I would say that Khalil Mack is Neo in the Matrix. And if he can hold down this defense and the complementary pieces can kind of elevate their game, I think we could be talking about them as one of the greats. What they're going to have to do is not only win a Super Bowl, of course, if you want to be mentioned with the greatest defenses of all time, but you're going to have to win games, just flat outright win games. It's not a back and forth, high scoring affair. There were games where when you mentioned those defenses, when you would watch them play, where teams didn't sniff the end zone, sometimes didn't even cross the 50-yard line.
It's like they were at the tap.
That's exactly what it is. So if they can all play at the level that Khalil Mack was, because there were times where Khalil Mack was playing so good, it was almost like, wow, if other guys just stepped up, this defense would be incredible. And not saying that guys didn't, but I'm talking about 10 other individuals playing on Khalil Mack's level, then they'll be mentioned as one of the greats.
And I think they're ready. Listen, there's firepower in the NFC North, but there's so much talent on this D. And I love Pagano, and I love what he's going to do there. You couldn't hope. You don't want to lose Fangio. You couldn't hope for a better replacement than Chuck Pagano.
And here it's going well. Speaking of that Bears defense, Khalil Mack, Nate, you just mentioned him. He's going to appear in the top 10 of the NFL's top 100 players list. We got the 99 through 11, and now this morning released in alphabetical order are the 10 players we have not mentioned who have qualified for the top 10. Look, we don't know the order yet because the order will be revealed tonight at 9 p.m. right here on NFL Network. Let's do a little preview on our show, and we'll mix in our Whiteboard Wednesday factor. Right. I asked the three of you, write the names in order, 1 through 3, of who will be the top 3 players on the NFL's top 100 list. Burleson, you're first out of the gate. Who do you got?
All right, I'll jump right in. At number 3, I'm going with Khalil Mack.
Really?
Yeah, we were just talking about him. He had that fantastic run at the beginning of the season where he was getting those strip sacks, seems like every single game. And then number 2, Aaron Donald. I mean, he is respected as not the best defensive player. I think there's a lot of players in the NFL that look at him as the best overall player in the league. But to me, the best overall player is Patrick Mahomes. He was just fantastic last year. You don't throw 50 touchdowns without getting the ultimate respect of your peers as going down as the number 1 player in the NFL.
It's so true. I'm going to put Patrick Mahomes at 3 because I saw Saquon Barkley fall in these rankings after his premier season. I know it wasn't Mahomes' rookie year, but it was his first year as a starter. So I think that might hurt him in the voting a little bit. I don't know when exactly they vote throughout the year. Super exciting, but let's remember this isn't Madden rating. This isn't about speed and what they can do in athleticism or even numbers. It's just about the best player that the NFL fans or NFL players revere. Donald had one of the best defensive seasons I've ever seen, so I'm going to put him at number 2. And I will put Brady at number 1 because even if the voting happened before he won his 6th ring, he should be number 1 on this list.
This is fun. We got some stakes going here. All right, I've changed my tune a little bit. Number 3.
Whoa!
I'm going to do A down at number 3, okay?
Wait, what?
A down number 3. And number 2, I'm going to go Donald Aaron. Okay. Right. And number 1, I'm going to go Aaron Donald. Guys, he should be the first best player, the second, and the third, and he will be. I'm all in on this, guys. Don't let me down. Aaron Donald will be the number 1.
Aaron Donald?
That's right. Aaron Donald Iran, and that's the guy right there. He should be all 10. I think they already messed it up. Top 10.
See Mike Daniels already talking about him in that sit-down at NFL Films. What do you have, Trey?
You're right.
I'm going with a different one here. I don't think I've seen his name mentioned by you guys yet, but Drew Brees last year was incredible. Another 5,000-yard season, led the Saints all the way there. I think he was the second best quarterback in football last year. Number 2, I'm going with Aaron Donald. The number 1, I am with Nate on this, the MVP. I think if it was one of those deals where Pat Mahomes had a great second half of the season, it was that he had the huge game against the Chargers week 1. Week 2 threw 6 touchdowns against the Steelers. It was almost like before we even got to know Patrick Mahomes, we already knew he was number 1 on this list. I think the players showed their respect. I think the media did. He was not only the MVP, but the NFL voted him, but the voters did, the AP voted him the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. I'd be very, very surprised if he wasn't number 1 yet. All of you guys had different ones, and I'll tell you what, if it was Brady or if it was Aaron Donald, I wouldn't lose a blink of sleep because they deserve it too.
He had the best season. Do you think he's the best player in the league at any position? If you voted?
If we voted on the 2018 season, how you had it, Aaron Donald, Aaron, I would go Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, then MVP.
But are they voting on that season? Because they're voting mid-season, right, or throughout the season. So they're not looking back on, let's look at what happened. Let's look at Brady win the Super Bowl. Let's look at Mahomes win the MVP. It's just who's the best player out of the 100 players. So it could go all of these ways.
Yeah, it can go either way. Another reason I think Pat Mahomes might have got the vote from his peers is because he was so humble in his success last year. Sometimes, I'll tell you how it is. Players don't vote for guys if they're complete jerks about how great they are. They'll vote for them, but you might not go as low as you're supposed to if you don't handle it the right way. He was very humble in his success.
He's been very vocal on the old Twitter machine lately. And yesterday, somebody was vocal with you. You had some words for Odell Beckham Jr., and he responded to you in on Twitter. We're going to bring you all of that.